The winter that ravaged the valley arrived early with wind, like shattered glass, and snow that suffocated crops where they stood. The Thompson farm sat sunken between two rust-colored ridges, abandoned now except for the girl. Her name was Emma, 19, a shadow of a person with ocean eyes and blood beneath her fingernails that wouldn't wash clean. They tried to kill her, her cousins, or perhaps uncles. She stopped keeping track after they burned her grandmother's journal and threw her into the horse barn. They left her there half dead, ribs cracked and teeth loose, bleeding into hay already soaked with animal waste. Her left arm wouldn't rise. Her breath came shallow. It was the third time they'd beaten her like that, but this time they hadn't meant for her to survive. The men drove off north, chasing the last of the stolen equipment toward Riverdale, thinking the blizzard would finish her if their boots hadn't. Emma stayed on the ground until the second night, when hunger overcame pain. She crawled out beneath a dead mare and drank melted snow off the trough edge. Her lips cracked until they bled. She chewed leather straps when there was nothing else. By the sixth day, she stood, not straight, not strong, but she stood. The farmhouse was ransacked, doors splintered, stove cold, mirror broken to reflect nothing. She made her bed in the root cellar, wrapped in the woolen blanket her grandmother died beneath. She didn't cry anymore. Crying wasted warmth. The farm was dead land, worked thin and poisoned by the Thompson boys' greed. No chickens, no dogs, only tire tracks and fog breath and frost. Still Emma stayed. Where else would she go? She had no name but Thompson, and even that was blood-stained. Her grandmother's family was distant or deceased, and the law had no patience for half-starved girls with broken bones and no prospects. Come spring, her hair grew long again. She cut it with a pruning knife. She trapped the hair, then, too, learned to load the rusted revolver her grandmother hid in the chimney. The land didn't forgive, but it watched, and Emma watched back. By the time she saw the man limping to the gate, dragging one leg and hunched over a duffel bag more patches and fabric, she'd already killed 3 men. Quietly, efficiently. One with a brick, one with her grandmother's revolver, and the third with a shovel in a ditch he'd helped dig. She didn't know his name, just that he was bleeding and lost. He wore a faded green jacket, military issue but worn enough to remember war. One shoulder hung awkwardly, dislocated. He slumped forward, barely conscious, cap pulled low over a gaunt face. His legs gave out at the gate, and he didn't move again. Neither did he try. Emma waited until dusk, then approached with the revolver drawn. The man didn't stir. Only when she pressed the barrel to his temple did he blink. "You here to finish it?" she asked. "No, ma'am," he rasped. "Just dying. But thank you kindly for asking." She studied him a long while. He was older, maybe 35. Maybe less of life had been cruel to him, too. He didn't flinch when she lowered the gun, didn't move at all when she dragged him toward the barn by his good arm. She fixed his shoulder with a broomstick and whiskey. He screamed once, then bit his knuckles bloody. She let him. Pain kept things honest. When he woke properly, it was morning, and she was sharpening the pruning knife near the stove. "You got a name?" he asked. "No." He nodded like that made sense. "I'm Marcus." She didn't respond, but she brought him water. Marcus stayed, not because he wanted to, but because he couldn't leave. Infection clawed into his leg, and he spent weeks in fever. Emma fed him scraps, brought snow melt in a tin basin, and patched his jacket when the seam split. She never smiled, never laughed, but she never let him die. On the 24th day, he stood. "You'll need to work if you're staying," she told him. "I ain't staying." She didn't argue, but she handed him the axe. Together, they split logs until their hands bled. They didn't speak much. Words cost energy, and they both learned long ago not to waste what little the world gave. That spring, the valley bloomed in brief defiance of death. Wildflowers pushed up through ash and bones. Foxes returned. So did trouble. The Thompson boys came back, drunk and poorer than when they left, sniffing out their old land like wolves that forgot they'd been chased off. Emma saw their tracks first, then the cigarette butts they'd left at the tree-lean, fresh, mocking, as if to say, "We know you're breathing, girl." She didn't run. She loaded the revolver. Marcus sharpened the axe. They came at night, 3 men. One Emma recognized by the scar she'd given him across the cheek. The others were new and silent, not family but friends of those who tried to kill her. Marcus met them at the fence. "This ain't your place no more," he said. The man with the scar spat. "Ain't yours either." Emma stepped into view, shotgun in hand. "Leave." They laughed. They stopped laughing when the first shot took one's kneecap. Marcus moved fast, faster than she expected. The axe found its mark, clean through the shoulder blade. Blood soaked the grass. Only scar remained. He stared at Emma, then at Marcus. "You gonna let her shoot me?" he asked. "I ain't letting her do nothing," Marcus said. "She's her own judgment." Scar turned to run. She didn't stop him. Not that night. When summer came, they slept in the same house, but not the same room. Trust didn't grow fast in such soil, but each night Emma watched his breath, steady as he lay by the stove, and each morning Marcus rose with the sun to mend the fences. Neither said the word home. Not yet, but Emma knew something had shifted, not because he stayed, but because he hadn't asked her to leave. By the time August curled dry and yellow around the hills, the farm had a new name among the travelers who passed through border towns. They didn't call it Thompson anymore. They called it a hollow ground, though no one could say who died or who was left, just that it wasn't safe to trespass, just that a girl with winter eyes ran it with a man who never smiled. Marcus rebuilt the porch plank by plank. Emma trapped rabbits and tanned their hides with lye and sweat. They had no crops, no deed, no claim worth writing to the county, but they held the land with blood and grit and an unspoken vow that nothing would take it from them again. Trouble still came, as it always does when the world smells weakness. One afternoon, a tall man in a pressed suit rode up alone, sedan polished, cufflinks glinting. He didn't smile, didn't threaten. He just leaned against his car door and spoke like a banker. "Records show this property was foreclosed last year," he said. "Sold at auction to a firm out of Helena. I'm to assess the boundaries and make arrangements for your departure." Emma didn't blink. She rested her hand on the shotgun beside her. "This land's ours," Marcus said, stepping out from the house. "Not anymore," the man replied. "I've got documents, and I've got connections at the sheriff's office. Now, I'm not saying you have to leave today, but you will leave." Emma studied the man. His hands were too clean. The way he looked at her was like someone measuring a broken tool. Tired, wary, but certain he'd prevail. "Come back tomorrow," she said flatly. The man raised an eyebrow. "Why?" "Because I need time to dig the hole you'll go in if you don't." She didn't raise the shotgun. She didn't need to. The man didn't drive away fast, but he did drive away. Marcus turned to her, the faintest shadow of something like amusement flickering across his face. Might have exaggerated about the deed. "Didn't matter," Emma replied. And it didn't, because by then the land had already chosen them. In early September, a letter arrived. No name, no return address, just a scrap of paper nailed to their door while they slept. "You missed one. He's in Riverdale. Still wears his father's watch." Emma read it once, then again. Her hands didn't shake. Her jaw set like stone. Marcus watched from the doorway. "Friend of yours." "No. You know who they mean?" She nodded once. He didn't ask more. He just stood and started packing supplies. "You don't have to come," she said. He didn't answer, but when they rode out the next morning in the rusted pickup truck, he was beside her. Riverdale sat 2 days northeast, a mining town strangled by dust and whiskey. They reached it by nightfall on the second day, faces obscured by bandanas, dust thick in their teeth. Marcus found a room above a mechanic's shop, and Emma sat with her back to the door, eyes on every man who passed below their window. The one they were looking for wasn't hard to find. Elijah Thompson had a voice like a sermon and a temper like gasoline. He ran a bar with a poker table rigged by mirrors and a waitress with bruises on her wrists who never met anyone's gaze. He wore a gold watch with an engraved face on his left wrist, the same watch Emma's grandfather once wore before the boys gutted him for farm. She watched him for 3 nights, saw how he drank, how he flirted, how he backhanded a busboy for dropping a glass. The rage hadn't aged. It had fermented. Marcus offered to do it. She said, "No, I don't need a killer," she told him. "I need a witness." On the fourth night, she walked in alone. The bar quieted, not because they knew her, just because they could tell something wasn't right. She moved like a ghost that still carried weight. Elijah didn't recognize her. Not at first. Not until she took the seat across from him and placed her grandmother's revolver on the table. "You left me under a horse," she said. "You remember that?" He stared, brow creasing. The whiskey in his glass trembled in his hand. "I remember that voice," he muttered. "You said I was dead." "You should be." He reached for his belt. She shot his hand before it got there. The bullet snapped bone, and blood sprayed across the table. Men screamed. The jukebox stopped. No one moved. Emma stood. "I ain't dead," she said. Then she left him there, howling. Marcus met her outside with the truck running. They didn't wait to see if Elijah bled out. The law would come, or he'd live without that hand. Either way, she was finished with him. By morning, they were gone from Riverdale, vanished into the hills like a rumor. They spoke low on the drive back. The silence between them wasn't cold. It was full, shared like breath between verses of the same song. When they reached the farm, a storm was waiting. Rain like hammer blows, wind strong enough to strip paint from walls. Emma stood in the doorway and watched the horizon burn silver with lightning. That night, she didn't sleep in her room. She lay beside Marcus, skin cold as well water, eyes wide and dry. "I don't love you," she said. "I know," he whispered, but his arms wrapped around her anyway, and for the first time since the barn, she let herself sleep. She didn't dream. When the creek thawed and the birds came back, Emma found herself waking before the sun. The nightmares had eased but not disappeared. She didn't scream anymore, just clench her teeth so hard they ached by morning. Marcus was already outside most days, building something he wouldn't explain. Rows plowed into the east field, fence lines drawn without livestock to pen. He worked like the land owed him something, and he aimed to collect. "Why bother?" she asked once, squinting at his hammer rising and falling. "Because someday we'll have more than ghosts out here." She didn't argue, but she didn't help him either. Instead, she took to the high ridges with a rifle, learned the paths the deer followed, mapped out the old mining trails her grandmother once spoke of in whispers. Emma knew the land better than most men knew their wives, where it bent, where it lied, where it waited with something sharp in the grass. One morning, she found crows circling low above the gully. She followed their path to a wrecked car, fresh debris, two crumpled doors still hanging open, blood pooled near the wheels. But no body. She searched the trail and found him half a mile away, crawling. A boy, maybe 12, blonde hair, sunburnt, mouth cracked, one leg twisted beneath him like it hadn't grown right. She knelt beside him. He tried to jerk back. "I ain't gonna hurt you," she said. His eyes were too wide, animal wide, the kind that sees death in every shadow. "Where's your family?" He didn't answer. Who did this? Still nothing. She lifted him. He screamed once, then bit her jacket to keep from doing it again. Marcus frowned when he saw them come down the trail. "You pick up strays now?" he asked. "He didn't ask for it," Emma said. "Neither did I." They set his leg and cleaned the blood. The boy didn't talk for 3 days, didn't eat unless Emma sat beside him. Marcus kept his distance, watching from the doorway like a man trying to decide if a fire was worth feeding. When the boy finally spoke, it was in a whisper. "Noah." She nodded. "What happened?" "Car broke down. Men in dark trucks took Dad's wallet. Shot Mom in the throat." Emma looked away. "I know men like that." He nodded solemnly, as if understanding more than a boy should. "I tried to fight one," he said. "Had a pocket knife." Marcus crouched beside him, then, slowly, carefully. "You lived," Marcus said. "That's enough for now." Weeks passed. Noah stayed. He wasn't soft. He watched Emma with something close to reverence, though she never tried to earn it. The boy sharpened her blades without being asked, helped patch the roof when a branch tore through. Even Marcus, wary at first, started teaching him knots and how to whittle without cutting bone. They didn't speak of family, not theirs, not his, but the silence felt familiar. Then came the rider, a woman this time. She arrived at dusk driving a truck black as spilled oil, no dust on her boots, no fear in her eyes. She had the look of someone who'd survived too long to pretend kindness was free. She didn't ask permission to approach, just stopped at the porch and nodded once. "Looking for a girl," she said. "They say she shot Elijah Thompson in the hand and torched his bar 2 nights later." Marcus leaned against the doorframe. "You the law?" "I'm worse." Emma stepped out. "You found her." The woman studied her a long time. "He's dead now. Elijah shot himself with the wrong hand. Couldn't hold a bottle. Couldn't stop shaking. I didn't burn it down." "Didn't say you did." Emma folded her arms. "Then why are you here?" The woman stepped from her truck. "Because a girl like you doesn't last long in the open, and because there's a bounty on your head now. Dead or alive. $5,000. State-backed." Marcus stiffened. "Who's offering?" "Montana land interests. The ones who think Thompson land ought to be theirs by blood." Emma's face was still. "They'll come." "Not yet, but they will." "What's your stake?" she asked. The woman didn't blink. "I'm building something. A kind of alliance. Outcasts, survivors, women with too much blood on their hands and nowhere left to go. You're one of us." Marcus stepped forward. "She's not going anywhere." Emma stopped him with a glance, then turned back to the woman. "What's your name?" "Call me Claire." "I'm not joining anything." "Didn't ask you to. Just came to warn you. You stay out here much longer, you'll drown in men who think they own your bones." She climbed back into her truck. "You change your mind. Head east of Pine Ridge. Ask for the Widow Circle. We don't run, we don't bow, but we do protect our own." Then she drove off. Marcus watched until the dust disappeared. "She's trouble." "They all are," Emma said. But that night she lay awake with her hand on the revolver. Not because of fear, because of memory, and the way Claire's voice had sounded like a bell tolling for something yet to come. Winter came late that year. When it arrived, it came black and sharp and unrelenting. Coyotes howled from ridgelines. Noah set traps. Emma taught him how to skin without tearing the pelt. Marcus buried his last good boots when they froze through. They made it work. They always made it work. But every now and then, Emma would catch sight of a shadow on the hilltop, a vehicle that didn't come close, a glint of glass, a scrape of boot on stone. The men hadn't forgotten her, and the land was watching, waiting. In spring, blood soaked the snow behind the tool shed. They found the cat first, throat torn open, belly split. Then Noah's footprints, too small and too fast, racing down the gully and back. He'd returned breathless, white-lipped, whispering, "There's men out there. 6, maybe more, watching from the trees." Marcus locked the door. Emma laid the shotgun across the table. No one spoke. It wasn't the first time death had waited in the trees, but it was the first time they weren't sure if it would wait much longer. That night, they didn't light a fire, didn't cook, just sat with weapons close, backs to the wall, watching the dark twitch at the edges of the windows. Noah clutched the hatchet with hands that still shook too much. Emma didn't tell him to sleep. At dawn, Claire's truck roared up the drive, followed by 3 more. Women piled out, each carrying rifles, each with the same look in their eyes that Emma saw in her mirror each morning. Claire nodded once to Emma, as if to say, "I told you so." Emma stepped onto the porch, feeling the way of the farm, of Noah, of Marcus, of the life they'd patched together. What would you have done in her shoes? Claire asked the group behind her. Drop a comment below. Has someone ever underestimated you because of where you came from? We'd love to hear your stories of respect earned the hard way. If this farmhand's courage inspired you, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of everyday heroes standing their ground. Because home isn't given, it's claimed sometimes in the most unexpected places.